your uterus?
Oh my God.
Are you fucking playing with me, yo? Why would you do this to me, yo? Why would you play with me like that? Shifted your uterus? What the fuck is wrong with you, yo? You took my shit, yo. The fuck out of here.
Okay, listen.
You got me fucked up, yo.
Okay, so listen.
You
It's not
got
what
me
it looks
fucked.
like.
You got me
It's
fucked
not what
up.
it looks like.
Fuck, what
It's
the
not
fuck you
what
mean what
this
it's not what it looks like? What you mean what it's not what it look like? You shipped your fucking uterus?
The internet, which has been humming nonstop as bizarre reports continue to circulate, has produced a chaotic picture that nobody could have predicted. Social media rumors imply that a significant event is taking place behind the scenes. Every new post also seems to pique readers' interest even more. People are asking the same question over and over. What exactly is going on between Tamar Braxton Yandy, Travis Cure, and me? Due of the accusations that are circulating on entertainment websites. Fans are startled by how intense these discussions have become. According to some reports, there has been speculation about a possible secret connection between Mendeecees and Tamar Braxton, which has kept fans glued to their TVs. Then, as if the chaos weren't enough, rumors have revealed that a distraught Yandy might be thinking about making an unexpected emotional decision with Travis Cure. Emotions on the internet are ubiquitous. Fans are debating every aspect, and the conversation is getting deeper by the hour because the noise level is so high. Even those who don't follow celebrity news are stopping to see what's going on and how far these claims can go. There were online discussions. However, voices on numerous platforms described the emotional atmosphere in Yandy and Mendeecees' home as tight when people started sharing what they claimed to be personal information about it. They also claimed that the tension between them had changed long before Tamar Braxton allegations even came to light. Yandy claimed in multiple tweets that she sensed a change, but she wasn't sure if her intuition was warning her of a more serious problem or if she was overanalyzing. Because events like this frequently have a strange emotional impact, especially when a long-term relationship is involved. Fans were captivated by every update. People were curious about what might have been happening behind closed doors and whether the marriage had already been drifting. The accusations of Mendeecees and Tamar Braxton gained traction as the conversation grew long before these online tales started to spread. They talked about scenes that users on several platforms believed implied a relationship between them. Every piece of information was seen by the crowd as a major discovery due to unclear phrasing and divergent interpretations. The two were purportedly spotted together in unexpected places, despite the fact that none of this was proven. Others described events that were innocuous to some but worrisome to others. Fans disagreed sharply, with some saying it was harmless and others saying it didn't feel at all casual. The conflicting opinions exacerbated the situation as people tried to understand what these online articles were trying to say. Amidst all of this noise, Yandy continued to draw attention. There were waves of pity for her with each new rumor. Viewers who had followed her story for years also felt guarded. Numerous sent their comments. People were expressing their feelings and wondering about how challenging it must be to deal with such pervasive lies. Several people claimed that Yandy had a deep emotional connection to her spouse and that the idea of such a report would severely disturb her. There was more to this than just romanticism. It was about years of memories, sacrifices, and intense devotion, according to others. The audience couldn't help but picture how excruciating it would be for someone who had endured so many difficult times. The speculation grew even more intense when other articles started describing the quiet tension that surrounded the couple. They said Mendeecees seemed to be living in his own world and had been distant lately. A few individuals remarked that Yandy had been trying to keep her cool for the sake of their family, holding on in the hopes that the energy would fade. But each new online discussion left her even more perplexed. In certain areas, she was even depicted as trying to manage her strong feelings while being composed in public. This image touched the crowd, and as they imagined her handling the storm she never requested, the discussions became more heated. Then the reports that were circulating took a different direction. Some bloggers began claiming that Tamar Braxton had inadvertently contributed to this situation. She appeared to be oblivious to the impact of her presence due to the manner the story went viral. Supporters conjectured that she might not have known how her interactions would be seen. A narrative she never intended to be involved in enhanced the image of her being pulled into a drama. People quarreled over whether she had any involvement at all or if her name was being mentioned in a more significant, unconnected topic than she had expected. As a result of all these rumors on the internet, viewers began trying to piece together the picture of emotional instability. Many discussed how relationships become more complicated when the people in them are overpowered by outside noise. Emotions, even minor misunderstandings, can appear as massive cracks while under stress. Commenters pointed out that if Yandy had been the subject of these rumors, her suffering would have only become worse, feeling estranged for a while. The idea of learning through public arguments rather than private conversations surprised a lot of followers. They imagined the emotional strain, pain, shock, and confusion of handling such a situation in front of thousands of people. As the anecdotes continued, a heartbreaking picture of Yandy's emotional state began to take shape. Users described her as clinging to everything with trembling patience in an effort to make sense of what the universe was throwing at her. They talked about her contradictory needs for answers and peace. Some conjectured that she might have been mentally replaying particular incidents to see if she had missed warning signs, or the rumors were simply becoming out of control. The emotional toll that many associated with her situation temporarily hushed even the most vocal commenters. But the drama on the internet didn't stop there. Another wave of posts revealed still another aspect of the narrative, suggesting that Travis Cure has recently been appearing in Yandy-related locations. People openly shared their theories, but they were unable to ascertain whether this was a coincidence, friendship, or something deeper. While some claimed he had been helping, others claimed a more intimate and quiet relationship was growing. Although it was unclear what the reality was, the idea alone created a whole new storyline that fans could examine. Pages began discussing how emotional susceptibility leads people in unexpected paths, whether they want it or not, especially when they feel abandoned or damaged. This entire problem put a number of names in the spotlight and created a complex web of miscommunication. As emotions were depicted everywhere, fans were divided between sympathy, shock, wonder, and awe. Some wanted to know how long Yandy's emotional storm lasted. Some questioned whether Mendes realized how much these rumors affected her. Another group focused on Travis Cure, trying to find out if he really cared or if others who were just looking for drama were misinterpreting him. Every day, the emotional terrain became more intense with every rumor. According to several websites, Yandy and Mendeecees had grown longer and quieter, like two people walking through different doors without realizing how far they were going. Others claimed that she was trying to find strength, focusing on her peace, and preventing her heart from breaking completely. Everything in her immediate surroundings seemed to transcend mere background chatter. It became the basis of her emotional decisions and shaped the way she perceived everything in her surroundings. From all of this, one thing came to light. People assumed she was emotionally spent from handling the circumstance. They pictured her awake, staring up at the ceiling. She questioned how her life had suddenly turned into a whirlwind of accusations, emotional wounds, and unexpected identities related to her marriage. Moments like these have the power to break even the strongest person. The idea that she was having trouble keeping her cool increased people's sympathies. Many internet users noted that sadness tends to make the world appear smaller, quieter, and colder, especially when the betrayal feels personal. As the discussions on Yandy started to spread, that mindset was reflected in the comments. She was the target of a wave of compassion. More precise information on the accusations against Mendeecees and Tamar Braxton was available via the internet. Rumor mill. Some reported seeing them together more frequently than others believed, indicating that their conversations went beyond lighthearted joking. Whether the descriptions were true, they were enough to produce a new emotional storm. Fans began analyzing every gesture, facial expression, and minute detail in the uploaded photos. They fought over what appeared natural and what seemed odd. Online speculation turned every little hint into a huge potential. Even though there was confronting the rumors head-on, the idea of quiet tension turned into a tale of uncertainty, leaving everyone wondering what might be going on behind closed doors. Every time he appeared in public, people scrutinized his facial expressions as though they could read their hidden meanings. The most surprising development, though, came when the focus returned to Travis Kerr and conversation started. His name was appearing more often in places associated with Yin. Those who had been keeping an eye on earlier stories said that the tone of the talk abruptly changed from one of sympathy to one of interest. There were instances in recent posts where he seemed genuinely empathetic, acting as if he understood her pain better than anyone else. Some onlookers conjectured that he might have stepped in at the right time, offering comfort without expecting anything in return. Some suspect that, away from the chaos, their emotional connection might have been quietly growing. Travis's support for her at such a delicate moment was the subject of a contentious debate. Users imagined him hearing her grievances and telling her that she should be treated with dignity, peace, and emotional transparency. They described situations where he could have encouraged her to prioritize her happiness over the drama around her relationship. The concept alone was sufficient to ignite a new wave of philia, suggesting that her bond with him might be growing even as the weight of everything else drove her further away from the past. In certain blogs, he was even described as the serenity amid her storm. Someone who didn't judge or put pressure on others, just offered her presence. Some claim that receiving consolation from someone who genuinely listens might feel like air to someone who has been shattered by betrayal. It might be kind, unexpected, and transformative. And as a result, the conversations about Travis intensified even further. Emotional openness often results in relationships that would not have evolved otherwise, according to some fans, turning Adversitinto the start of a fresh project. After that, the plot on the internet was altered once more. Several suggested that Yandy could no longer handle the rumors since she had reached her emotional breaking point when pages began describing how her struggle with Mendeecees had reached a breaking point. The idea that she would confront him started to circulate on other websites, portraying the incident as raw and depressing. People imagined her summoning all her courage to demand answers, her voice wavering between wrath and despair. Others imagined Mendes struggling to find the right words, divided between defensiveness and sadness. He avoided establishing eye contact, according to some fans, while others believed he was trying to minimize the accusations. The emotional struggle became a topic of discussion on the internet, with others narrating the event as though they were present. Various responses included phrases like tension filling the room, silence cutting deeper than words, and pain spilling into every sentence. However, what truly drew the audience in was the idea that Yandy was in pain. They began to see her worth. Over time, she came to the realization that she could no longer live in emotional ambiguity. Heartbreak is thought to have the ability to either kill you or motivate you to rebuild yourself with more vigor, according to a number of posts. Others believed she was approaching that crucial turning point. Some claimed that she no longer looked at him with the same tenderness and had begun to emotionally remove herself from him. Others saw her retreating into self-reflection, recognizing that letting go is sometimes the greatest way to be safe. You are peaceful. These discussions result in a major shift in the narrative. People began encouraging her to make her own choices and offering her support. Many conversations focused on the potential for her to start over. At this moment, Travis Kerr's significance in the story increased even further. At the exact moment, she needed a trustworthy person who could tell her that love doesn't always have to be unpleasant. Community websites described his appearance. Some adherents even asserted that sometimes when life seemed unachievable, fate offers right individual. Then there were whispers that she had grown closer to Travis and trusted him with emotions she couldn't articulate elsewhere. People imagined him offering her genuine consolation and helping her heal gradually. The audience was more convinced that something significant was beginning to emerge between them. They saw it as the natural outcome of emotional emptiness and comfort combining to create unexpectedly coherent pieces. All of this led to a frenzy of speculation. Some argued that she was merely seeking temporary solace, while others insisted that something important was beginning to emerge. But everyone was in consensus that Yandy was evolving. People believed she was getting stronger again, moving away from grief and towards something that appeared to be full of hope. Additionally, as these conversations expanded to other platforms, advocates began to make a new claim, an accusation that would alter the entire narrative in a way no one had predicted. As the internet conversation grew, people started to speculate about how Yandy might have made her decision. The idea that she could finally continue became more than just speculation. About quiet evenings, she supposedly reflected about her life, her relationships, and the kind of future she wanted. Fans reportedly pictured her reflecting on what love, commitment, and trust really mean, observing that Shackleton be trapped in a situation where the idea of beginning a new relationship with someone who seemed to be genuinely supportive constantly made her feel both excited and afraid. In the online story, reminding her of betrayal. After then, the conversation kept returning to Travis Cure. They pictured small, meaningful gestures exchanged between them. In a moment of frustration, a hand was placed on his shoulder. A soft word that promised understanding and glances that suggested a connection beyond friendship. Viewers' views of these small conversations expanded, transforming ordinary events into significant turning points in a budding relationship. The audience became emotionally involved as they portrayed how she would have felt, heard, and seen after so much emotional deprivation. They asserted that these events might renew confidence in ways that previous encounters had damaged it. Meanwhile, rumors of Mendeecees' secret romance with Tamar Braxton persisted. Some said that it was more than just an emotional betrayal and that it had been concealed for months or even years. Supporters imagined heated online arguments. Voyix hearts broke and rose in late-night fights that tore friends and family apart. They pictured the kind of stress that develops when people engage in quiet activities while continuously halting and lacking clarity. Fans were more interested in the growing drama because they perceived his hesitation as either confusion or guilt. The juxtaposition between his uncertainty and Traviscom's reliability added complexity to the web. Story. Highlighting Yandy's emotional risks as supporters began to imagine violent altercations. The plot took yet another unexpected turn. Some mentioned circumstances where she might have finally communicated all of her feelings, including fury, disappointment, despair, and a demand for respect. In these fictitious conversations, her comments were biting, precise, and full of the pain she had long repressed. Mendeecees' responses were perceived by others as both protective and vulnerable. Someone trying to maintain composure despite realizing that his actions could no longer be ignored. Viewers were captivated by this visual tension, which made them feel as though they were witnessing history in action. Some imagined her sharing every aspect with Travis during this phase. They described crying moments, private conversations in hushed tones, and the regaining of self-assurance. This imagined help turned into a turning point in the online discussion, suggesting that emotional healing was both possible and taking place. The community began to notice the discrepancy: treachery on the one hand, and a patient, understanding presence on the other. The juxtaposition created drama and kept viewers on edge. However, some bloggers speculated about the wider socioeconomic ramifications. People imagined friends, family, and coworkers. A network of social tension emerged as a result of some being regarded as shocked or condemning, while others were seen as sympathetic and supporting. Yandy. The narrative explored how speculation and hearsay may intensify emotions. The family was depicted as divided because every comment, post, and shared stories seemed to intensify the crisis, while others stayed impartial and observed the quiet and emotional roller coaster. While some disagreed with Yandy's choices, others supported her. Enthusiasts then shifted their attention to imagining public appearances. Some people wrote of times they saw Travis and Yandy together. There was much speculation in the air. Photographers, social media users, and casual bystanders, all fans described every smile, gesture, and expression as if they were interpreting a secret language of unspoken intentions. All right, so this raised the bar for okay. This raised the stakes and turned every public encounter into a potential turning point in the developing narrative. Online communities began speculating about Yandy's inner monologue. They surmised that she weighed the prospect of happiness with Travis against her loss, her past, and her desire for authenticity. Posts claimed that although she was aware of the risks, she felt ready to pursue emotional honesty in spite of the consequences. The juxtaposition between her misery and her growing hope made viewers sympathetic and involved. The perceived fortitude needed for her to make a decision that could drastically alter her life captivated supporters. Rumors continued to circulate, adding made-up twists that enthralled listeners. Some claimed that when Mendeecees tried to apologize or offer an explanation, she realized that she had already advanced. Psychologically, others clarified. Online discussions focused on the depth of Yandy's psychology, how she thought, and the emotional development required to embrace new opportunities while navigating grief. The story emphasized her agency. There were times when Yandy stood up for herself and refused to let past betrayals control her decisions. By demonstrating how she was actively crafting her story rather than merely reacting to what transpired, the imagined events culminated in a climax when the focus on Travis intensified. Fans imagined private moments that hinted at growing affection, respect, and mutual understanding. Online feedback stated that emotional resonance and similar ideals were becoming a motivating force in her judgments. Some blogs recalled times of laughing, peaceful camaraderie, and simple gestures that conveyed immense meaning. The idea that she might find joy again, which sparked discussions, memes, and conjecture. The tension became almost tangible in the way stories were shared online as fans recounted a tug-of-war between new beginnings and old ties. Lastly, the envisioned scene where Yandy appeared prepared to take decisive action was the one that most captivated viewers. Posts explained how she may have stated that she was clear about what she wanted and that she preferred loyalty, emotional safety, and genuine connection to ambiguity. There was conjecture that her choice to embrace Travis, framed by knowledge and resilience, became a symbol of fans couldn't stop discussing Yandy and Travis Kerr's potential marriage. As the fictional plot neared its conclusion, every detail seemed to be being investigated. From the hypothetical engagement talks to the subtle reactions of friends and family. Social media threads described private moments in which Yandy confided in close friends, displaying a mix of dread and joy. The emotional stakes were high because, after loss and betrayal, every small decision had enormous consequences. Wait, the audience pictured her yearning for happiness without repeating the same mistakes twice. The story also focused on hypothetical emotional conflicts with men. Posts depicted tense phone calls and private encounters in which she might have confronted him about the heartache, the secret relationship, and the secrets. Fans imagined angry, depressed, and reluctantly understanding times. Some pictured him expressing sorrow, offering an apology, or even trying to defend his behavior. However, Yandy's resolve did not waver in these situations as viewers speculated that she had finally regained control of her choices. Online groups then looked at the hypothetical relationship between Travis and Yandy, in stark contrast to the secrecy and dishonesty associated with Mendeecees. The alleged trust between them flourished. As the story developed, fans discussed how these images seemed to represent stability, optimism, and the possibility of true love after tragedy. They also made comments, imagined public appearances, interviews, and social media posts were included in online rumors. Every aspect, including clothing choices and body language, was examined and deciphered. Fans talked about their goals, their future, and how they would handle public criticism. Fans were interested and emotionally invested in every step as the story developed into a complex web of perceived intents, emotional reactions, and societal interpretation. Fans imagined the moment Yandy may have revealed her choice to wed Travis as the dramatic conclusion. Posts described the thought regarded the news as a momentous occasion that marked the end of one chapter and the optimistic start of a new one. Fans pictured her as having a forceful yet kind voice, expressing a mix of relief, joy, and lingering sadness. The public's reactions were depicted as a mixture of shock, encouragement, and conjecture, giving the story's development a sense of immediacy and authenticity. Meanwhile, fans continued to analyze Mendeecees' imagined responses, recounting scenes of loneliness, introspection, and sorrow. Some saw him trying to understand how Yandy and the public had perceived him, while others thought of him contemplating the consequences of his actions. The drama was heightened by these hypothetical situations, examining the emotional path of a person left behind in order to give the story more depth, a crucial element that fueled ongoing conflict between past mistakes and present decisions. Yandy was depicted in each imagined scenario as someone who had learned from betrayal and was committed to pursuing true happiness, reinforcing the idea of perseverance. These stories captivated viewers on social media by providing both suspense and emotional connection. The narrative also examined how Yandy's choice would affect her larger social network. Friends were shown as worried or excited, giving counsel, support, or subtly cautioning. Family relatives were anticipated, feeling a range of feelings from worry about potential dangers to pride in her bravery. These hypothetical exchanges highlight the societal ramifications and emotional difficulty of significant personal choices, giving the story a multifaceted sense. Fans continued to speculate about each character's future move, creating a lively dialogue that extended the story's duration toward the envisioned story's end. Fans suggested quiet times for Yandy and Travis to reflect, imagined images of shared dreams, late-night conversations, and reciprocal support began to represent trust and give the impression that their relationship would be resistant to outside influences. Last but not least, Braxton provided context and contrast, highlighting the significance of true connection in the emotional stakes. Viewers felt as though they were witnessing a path of tenacity and personal growth in addition to a relationship. On the internet, the community imagined the excitement of the actual wedding day. Every possible detail, from attire to setting, from body language to facial expressions, was scrutinized and appreciated. Supporters projected their enthusiasm onto the situation, witnessing Yandy and Travis's happiness, optimism, and love. Discussions suggested that there might be more to this imagined ceremony than a union. Everyone is talking about the drama. Fans are shocked, enthralled, and emotionally invested at every turn. The tale of heartbreak, betrayal, and new beginnings sparks conversations on social media where hypothetical circumstances or scenarios